Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. And coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, we'll look ahead to Thursday and Friday and the weekend. We've got two weak weather systems moving through in the east. We've got some strong weather systems coming into the west. So we'll cover it all tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And that would be at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So the day after the snow event for the northern mid-Atlantic states to southern New England. We see that storm is now off onto the upper right, well east of Nova Scotia, south of Newfoundland, and moving away. We're enjoying a nice weather day here in the east for the most part. There are some patchy clouds around in parts of the northeast down into West Virginia and Virginia, but there's not really a whole lot going on weather-wise with those clouds. We have nice sunny skies across the south, nice sunny skies across the middle and lower Mississippi Valley and back through the southern plains. And we've got energy and storminess coming into the west. And you can actually see the swirl on the upper left from a storm system that's off the coast of Northern California. And that's going to produce some issues there as we check out the surface map just real quick for this afternoon. And this was the 10 a.m. analysis with that storm out to the east. The gradient is relaxing a bit, so winds should start to drop off as weak high pressure builds in. The air behind the storm was cold, but nothing crazy. It's actually pretty reasonable across the south, temperature-wise today after a chilly start, climbing up through the 40s and into the 50s. And then when we look out in the west, you can see the storm system that's off the coast of California that's getting ready to move inland. We've got winter storm warnings up for the Sierra Nevadas and the Cascades, advisories on either side of those. We have winter weather advisories across northern Idaho and Montana with some winter storm warnings in central Montana southward into easternmost Idaho and western Wyoming. And then we have a strip of winter weather advisories and a few winter storm warnings from South Dakota east across Minnesota, southern Minnesota, and into central Wisconsin. Otherwise, weather's pretty quiet around the country. The radar not really showing a whole lot. The east actually showing very little. We've got this little area of snow that's moving through South Dakota and into southwestern Minnesota, and heavy rain that is moving into California, Northern California in particular, and on up the coast of Oregon. The WPC folks showing a lot of rain in the west along the coast, several to many inches from Los Angeles all the way up to coastal Oregon. Some areas of 5 to 7 inches or more, particularly along the coast between San Francisco and LA, and also north of San Francisco up to the Oregon state line. Big precip amounts of the Sierra Nevadas. So again, this is over 7 days. So we're talking 5 to 7 inches of liquid, and a lot of that is going to wind up being snow. In the east, it's fairly quiet. We've got two weak weather systems. You see a concentration of a half to three-quarters of an inch of liquid across the northern Great Lakes. Otherwise, it's mainly a tenth to at most a quarter of an inch from Maine down into the Central Appalachians. Picks up again from Florida, a couple of inches of rain there in the next 7 days, and also in areas in South Texas. And as far as snow is concerned, highest probabilities for at least a couple of inches out in the west. We'll change it to look at the 8-inch probabilities, the Sierra Nevadas, the Cascades, and of course on up into the Northern Rockies. In the east, we're seeing an area over the Great Lakes. This is a 72-hour period here going into Saturday morning. We do have a very low probability of at least 2 inches being indicated by WPC, but we're talking 20% or less from New York City south through New Jersey and into parts of Maryland and Northern Virginia. The higher probabilities from these next 2 weak systems across the northern lakes, as well as upstate New York and on up into central and parts of northern New England. So, at least for now, barring any surprises, we should be in pretty good shape here. We've got two minor interruptions to consider. The rest of this afternoon, obviously fine. Tonight, a nice clear night. Tomorrow, we'll have sunshine and arriving clouds, and you see that low that is sitting over the Great Lakes in Michigan, moving eastward. That'll move into upstate New York. So we'll probably see a weak cold front approach tomorrow evening There might be a couple of rain showers with that in colder areas up the Hudson Valley and perhaps into northern Connecticut and Massachusetts and points north. There could be some snow showers with it. Then that goes out. It'll turn a little colder on Friday, and then we have a low that's coming out of Oklahoma, and you see it there, running east northeastward. There's not a whole lot of support aloft with this, but there is going to be an area of light snow that moves into the Central Appalachians and possibly moves into eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England Friday night into Saturday morning. I think there's an outside chance that we could get a coating to an inch or two from that if the upper air trough with this is a little more amplified. Otherwise, that goes by, and we go to the President's Day holiday weekend, which looks to be a cold and dry weekend. Particularly Saturday, I think is going to be a very chilly day, and even into Sunday, we're looking at chilly weather conditions before temperatures moderate slightly next Monday. So if you've got plans for the President's Day holiday weekend, it really looks pretty nice. The only interruption will be Friday night into Saturday morning if that weather system flares up just a little bit. So don't forget, folks, tonight we've got the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. That is at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.